Today I have a very, very controversial subject. And I think it's enough. Enough is what? We need to learn more about it. It's on women ordination. Should women be used by God? That's the question which is there internationally. So I thought maybe let me bring my own research over that subject. Maybe it might help us all to know that when God created men, He created women also. God created men and women. And that to God, there is no difference whether in sexuality or what. There is no difference whether He uses a man or a woman. We want to prove from the scriptures and possibly from the spirit of prophecy as well. But God uses His creatures equally.
Amen.
That's what I want to prove from this study, that He uses His creation equally.
Amen.
He can use anything He created.
Amen.
So the battle on who should be used, whether men or women, male or female, should not be a battle actually. We should actually be battling on how God should use men. Both men and women should be struggling to be qualified to be used. Not to who should be used and who shouldn't be used. So this study basically is to prove that whether it's a man or it's a woman, God is free to use any of them.
Amen. Amen.
They are equal. And I want to start from creation to see how equal they are. We will take different scenarios, creation, everywhere. We'll dance everywhere to see whether there was a difference. Right? And let's start from Genesis chapter 1. Yeah? Verse 26.
Verse 26.
Yeah?
And God said, let us make man in our image,
Yeah?
after our likeness,
Do you see?
and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea,
And hang on. Before you go to the next verse. The very first portion says, let us make men in our
Image.
So basically the woman is in an image of God.
Yes.
Do you believe that?
Yes.
That the man is created in the image of God,
Yes.
in the likeness of God. And the woman is created in the image of God,
Yes.
in the likeness of God.
Yes.
Both were created.
Amen.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
We have found something similar. Man was created,
Yes. Woman was
a woman was created. If a woman was not created, I would have said, then she stands the ground not to be used. But they were both.
created.
You understand? Right. What? Let us make men in our
in our
image.
image,
Yeah.
after our likeness,
Right.
and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea,
Right. Let's go to the job description.
Both of them.
There was no way there was a demarcation between a woman and a man.
Amen.
That's why even the world is not demarcating. The world, if they are sexist, they are operating illegal. Because there was no demarcation in the creation, there was no demarcation in the job description. This verse does not show a demarcation on what Eve should do or what Adam should do. There is a similitude there. So it means when they were created, they knew their job description. What? Repeat again. Let them.
and let them
Yeah.
have dominion.
Let it, the verse should have said. Let's go slow with the Bible. If you don't go slow with it, you miss the point.
Amen.
Now, it says, let them. It didn't say, let Adam. Let the men. It says, let them. Right?
Let them
Yes?
have dominion over the fish of the sea.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
So, Adam had dominion. The man had dominion over the fish of the sea.
Yes.
And the woman has dominion over the fish of. Let's start from the beginning until we got to the end to see that God uses both.
Yes.
So God had two workers there.
Yes.
We had dominion. We are going to look after his creation. Yeah? The man and the woman. So you and I agree they were created equally.
Yes.
They had equal rights there. They had a job description which was equal. Because the verse said, let us create men in our image. So what we come up with there, man was created. A woman was created. Huh? So they are the same. And also in their job description, let both have dominion. Let them have dominion. So their job description was the same at creation. Equal opportunity of work there. Yeah? Right, let's go.
And over the floor of the earth, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man
Right?
in his own image.
Right.
In the image of God created he him.
Right.
Male and female
Both
created he
of them were created. You see, they are equal at creation. They were equal. Right? Let's hear. Verse 28.
And God blessed them.
Right? Do you see? That go slow. What did he do? Both of them needed God's blessing. Both of them were blessed. If he blessed Adam, the man only without blessing the woman, I say there is a demarcation. But what did he say?
And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply.
Right. Let's wait there. So a man wouldn't multiply without a woman.
No.
And a woman can't multiply without a man.
No.
So they are both with the same blessing to multiply both. Huh? For in Christianity, it needed both to replenish the earth, to multiply the earth. But I have heard people saying the child comes from the man. You know what? That's very, very deceitful. Yeah. Even the scientists, they are also saying they're joining in cultural notions. But goes to science itself, it's got chromosomes. The male chromosomes and the female chromosomes, they have got to unite. So both of them were given chromosomes. Yeah? How many?
23 each. 23 each pairs.
So when they are there in the house, both of them have chromosomes. The man has chromosomes. Yeah? The female has chromosomes. So would the male chromosomes create a baby?
No.
They needed the female one. So both are what? We want to prove that point. Because people are racing, and even people with the gray hairs, they seem to have lost it out. According to our, they've lost it. Let's start from creation. They were the same. They were supposed to look after the creation, to have dominion. Both of them were given. And they were supposed to multiply and replenish the earth. Both of them were blessed with that.
Amen.
So the child, when I've got a child, comes from me and my husband. It's a combination of two.
Yes.
So the man, if you prove the man cannot do that job description without the woman, then they were all equal. The man needed a woman.
Yes.
The woman needed a man.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So they are both what?
Equal.
Unless there was something the man could do without the woman. Then I say, okay, he had more than a woman. But there is no one more there. They are equal. They're equal at creation. We want to go slow with it. Go actually to Genesis 2, verse 18.
Verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord God said, It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him and help meet for him.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the ground, the Lord God formed every beast of the field.
Now, there is a man created alone. It was on one day, in the morning, on Friday. He's been created. And God is watching this being alone. And says, nah,
It's not good.
needs somebody. No. Cannot be a man without. So he needs somebody. Right? And what did he do? Create another person. Right? And out of the rib of the man, but he also created the woman using the bone of so that they are attached.
Amen.
So that they are attached. In actual fact, who had more expensive material there? The woman. Otherwise, if there was equality problems, we would say the woman was even higher. Because the woman had a bone of a human being at creation, but Adam had no bone. It was just from dust straight. So which one is more quality, dust and bone? But we don't do that. We say it was because they wanted to be united. You understand? But if you want to talk about equality, then we will say the woman was more.
Yes.
Yeah, it was more because he had a bone. He had a bone. The man didn't have a bone. No. The material was just dust. Dust. You understand? But the woman had dust plus a bone from a human being, which is life. So he has got a higher calling on earth.
Yes.
Was called in a higher material. That's what I mean, isn't it? But we don't talk of that. Because we want to be equal.
Yes.
We want to maintain equality, which God maintained. So we just say, okay, forget about the rib. They're still what? Equal. Otherwise, if you want to see who is there, we'll start talking of the material which built each one, which was used to create each one. So we don't want to do, we are so submissive, we are okay, we don't want to argue. Yeah? You can see, if you watch, yeah? When I watch and whatever, so some people are still wearing those old watches where so you see the material itself is what calls it a name, isn't it? It's what was used. You understand? So here, the material which was used to create a woman was higher. The human bone.
Yes.
But we don't want to talk about that. We are just quiet and listening and watching people calling us very low. You understand? But if it was to say who is who there, we were going to come up with good points for the woman. But let me say, they were created equal. This is the subject we have. So we are starting from Genesis. We haven't even gone to the next chapter. We are still at... Yeah, you understand? We will go the whole Bible. Yeah? If you have time. That's why our messages are so long. Because we want you to have all the evidence. So that you don't remain scratching everywhere. You have to have everything. You understand? So, now on verse 18, read it across and say.
And the Lord God said, It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him and help meet for him.
Do you hear the connotation, help meet? It does not put a woman inferior. That connotation does not put a woman inferior. That, oh, you were created to help me. Actually, if you go in the house, you find who is helping who. When you are hungry in the house, who helps who?
The woman helps the man.
Is it true? Is it true? I'm yet to find these houses where really the woman is helping you. Really? Where? Where is the woman helping you? When she was in the kitchen alone and he made all that nice expensive meal on your table, what were you doing? Someone will say, I was at work, working for the money. But these days, they are also going to work.
Yes.
And working maybe even more salary than yours, isn't it?
Yes.
So I want to ascertain that it's not the help that you are talking about. The help was, like you saw, in a making a baby needed two. You understand? That's the helpmeet. But it does not make the woman lower. In actual fact, in other places where the woman runs much better. Right? Runs a home or runs a family much better. For when the children come and they're hungry, where do they go?
To the mother.
Why don't they go to the father and I'm hungry? Doesn't even care. Or even in funerals, go to the funerals. Back there in my country, when you are in funeral, all the women are in the house, crying with those who have been left, we have been, bereaved. But watch where the men are. Out there. Talking about football, talking about politics, talking about everything, all the things there, outside there. They don't even know. The bereaved are inside there crying their hearts out. But it's the woman comforting, doing everything. Like it is. An orphan whose father dies is different from an orphan whose mother dies. So I'm not saying the women are better, but I'm saying the helpmeet portion, connotation, does not make the woman inferior. It only says the man can be a man when they are equal with the woman. Like when they are making a baby, both of them have equal chromosomes. If scientists would say the chromosome from a woman are less than a man, then I'll say, okay, they are not equal. But they are the same. You understand? So we want to analyze that portion. Yeah? We go even to those verses that you think they're those ones. When she gets to that verse, she will be done. She will be done. We want to go through to those verses. Because that connotation actually does not make a woman lower. Because you find God used them. Go to Psalms 46. Check in Good News that Psalms 46. Good News 46 verse 11.
Verse 11.
Yeah.
The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge.
Now, there is a version which says the God of Jacob is our helpmeet. Yes? Is our refuge? Yes. Is our helpmeet. On that same verse, there is a version. Okay, you will check that version. In actual fact, it means if he is our helper, go to King James. What did King James say?
King James saying, the Lord of hosts is with us.
Right?
The God of Jacob is our refuge.
Right? It's our refuge. But there is another which says our helpmeet. Meaning, he is actually the one who makes us survive. He is actually the one who is important in our lives. So by God saying, go back to Genesis, by God saying the woman is a helpmeet to the man, he is not putting the woman lower than the man. He is actually saying, for a man to survive, it's not good to survive alone. He needs to survive with the woman. That's where my argument is. It's not lower. It's not lower at creation. It's not lower. Now let's prove again that point on verse 23. Where did you go? Verse 20.
No, I was reading.
Verse 23.
Verse 23. Genesis chapter 2.
Yeah.
Verse 23. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bone.
Do you hear that expression only? This, meaning the woman, is what? He did not exclaim that is lower. Is bone of my
bone.
Yeah? So he's actually proclaiming we are equal. Is bone of my what? And what?
And flesh of my flesh.
Flesh of my flesh. In actual fact, he's actually saying, this one is me. Is actually me. What is me? Bone and flesh. And what is Eve? My bone and my flesh. So is that making Eve lower?
No.
Right? Let's see in Genesis chapter 5. Yeah? In Genesis chapter 5, verse, I think it's verse 2. We see that they were all equal. They were all even being called by the same name. There was no Eve there. Yeah,
Male and female.
Right?
Created he them.
Right.
And blessed them.
Right?
And called their name Adam.
Do you see?
In the day when
The name was for them both. If the sin did not enter, they could all be called Adam. Until today. When you said Adam, you meant the woman. When you said Adam, you meant the man. So both of them had the same. So how would you differentiate them? If they were all called Adam. There are people who look alike, except that the woman has got different parts of the body which are not in the man, but they are all called Adam. Would you say the other is smaller than the other?
No.
They are all born, they were all created on the same day. They are twins actually, because one created in the morning, the other in the evening. But they are both, because man was created on Friday, isn't it? Yeah, so one was in the morning and Eve was in the evening, isn't it? But then both of them were being created as Adam in the morning, another Adam in the evening. Was anyone lower there?
No.
Was there some who argue and say, oh, the man is more than a woman because the man was created first. But they were all in the same day. You know, I'm a twin myself. My twin was born at 8 o'clock and I was born at 5 past. So some people come to me and say, your twin is bigger than you. But I argue and say, no, we couldn't all have come up at the same time. But we're all made equal in the womb. By that day, we were all ready to get out. All of them on that same, we were ready to come out. Huh? But because the entrance is only one, the exit is one. You understand? So one has to exit first. Who is nearer the door? It's like even in the bus, when you have to exit the bus, would someone at the back exit first?
No.
You have to wait for those nearer the door, isn't it? But does it make those who are exiting from the door bigger than, superior from those? You understand?
Destination is the same.
That's why I see people rushing, even in a plane, they rush to want to sit in the nearest to the door. I don't know why. And sometimes you just find your seat is just right at the back. But listen, you are all flying the same flight. And when it crashes, both of you. Both of you are crashing. Yeah? There's nothing different there. Yeah? So when it arrives, you all have arrived. Huh?
Yeah.
So these are twins, Adam and Eve. Adam was created in the morning, but the soil was ready to create another one. Huh?
Yes.
You understand? If you are all born in the same day, are you different? Are you, and you say, I'm born on 28 November. Yeah? So anyone who tells me that is born on 28, regardless of 8 o'clock or not 8 o'clock, but I will say, when were you born? You say 28 November of the same year. We are the same. Is it true? These twins, Adam, in the morning. Yeah, I have twins that can come in the morning, and the other one spends another day, another some hours, and then comes. Are you telling me that they are not all the same? Are they not all born in the same day? Are they not? So would make another one lower than the other one because he was born later. So it's these arguments that make people, waste time on nothing. They are baseless. They are not even from the scriptures because the scriptures don't have them. You understand? Now let's go to another point. So people will say, okay, at creation we have understood. Because they hadn't sinned. Now they are going to attack the sin now. We want to dwell on that sin and say, because there is sin now, this one becomes younger. Here we are all with different sins. Huh? Does it make the one who is committed adultery younger than the one who is stolen? I will show you their sins. Adam and Eve, their what?
Yes.
Both of them were sinful. But I will show you who was sinning more in their sin. So if you think Eve is the one who brought the fruit, so it's got to be lower than the man. Now let's analyze who sinned actually. Now let's go to their sin, chapter 3, yeah? Yeah? Verse 1, yeah? Listen to that sin. Someone will say, because they sinned, so the woman was made lower than the man. Let's see who sinned.
Now, the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every fruit of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die.
Right? You see, there is reasoning between the snake and the woman. You shall not die. It's a woman being told that. You shall not die. Right?
Ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened.
Right.
And ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
There is a preacher there preaching to Eve. Though it's a serpent. If there were men that day, the devil could have sent a man. But there were only animals, isn't it? When they were created, there was no men. There were only animals. So he used this reptile, the snake, talking like a man, isn't it? And he's preaching a message, like what we are also doing on earth, preaching messages, but mind you, the serpent is no longer there being used. The devil is using men now, isn't it? So you've got to watch it. That what you are being taught is in the Bible, isn't it? So this serpent is talking to this woman. You shall, no. You shall surely not die. No. Listen.
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food,
and it is looking again to this tree.
that it was pleasant to the eyes,
Yeah.
and a tree to be desired.
And the preacher here is there saying, you not die. It's a lovely tree. You will not die. You will not die. It's a preacher, isn't it?
And a tree to be desired to make one wise. She took of the fruit thereof,
Then she took the tree.
and did eat,
Right?
and gave also unto her husband with her,
Right?
and he did eat.
Now, let me ask you a question. She took, after the serpent said, you will not die. So Eve, did Eve sin?
No.
Eve was deceived. Eve was deceived. Akanyengerwa nenyoka. She was deceived. Now, she now takes the fruit, goes to Adam, and did not deceive Adam. Mark my word. She did not deceive Adam. She just said, I've eaten it. Adam didn't say, God didn't No. Adam knew that she's taken that thing that God has forbidden. But he did not argue. There was no sermon. There was no one preaching. I've eaten. You eat. So what did Adam do? He sinned. He sinned. He wasn't cheated.
No.
He wasn't told he's not going to die. He wasn't told that. He sinned. Huh? Do you know Adam sinned? Eve was deceived. This is the record in heaven. Eve was deceived. Adam sinned. No one deceived Adam. He knew that is a forbidden tree and there was no message before eating. He just took it and ate. So if you want those who sin to be lower, who was supposed to be lower there? Adam. He sinned. There was no message to deceive him. Eve, you can understand and say she was deceived. She had a message from the snake. You shall not surely die. No, you shall be intelligent. So she could have argued and said, because I was told you will be intelligent. That's why I ate it. So it's only God who knows her motives. Her motives were not to go against God. Her motive now was to be intelligent, to be clever, to be opened and enlightened. That's her motive. But the sinner was Adam. There was no message. If Eve went to Adam and said, you know what, Adam, if you eat this, surely you won't die. Huh? Surely you won't die. And if Eve went to Adam and said, you shall be very intelligent, you shall what? Yeah? Then we could say, now she's going to deceive Adam. But Adam wasn't deceived. Adam sinned. Knowing. Sinned. Yeah? Go to BOE 18.5. We want to know exactly whether Adam and Eve, who sinned more there, who was sinning there. Then there is no right to put the woman lower because of that sin. Yeah.
Adam understood that his companion had disobeyed the command of God.
You see? The spirit of prophet said, Adam really understood. He understood what he's doing. You know, the vilest offender is the one who what? Who knows that I'm now going to sin. He knew now he is going to sin. This is what made God more angry, because Adam sinned. Yeah?
There was a terrible struggle in his mind.
What went in his mind? There was a terrible struggle.
He mourned that he had permitted Eve to wander from his side.
He knew exactly, this woman has gone astray and taken the forbidden tree. He knew. And he was regretting, why did he leave her to go? He knew. See, Adam knew Eve had sinned.
He mourned that he had permitted Eve to wander from his side.
Right?
But now, the deed was done.
Right? But the deal is done. Adam now knows Eve and God, they are at cross purposes already.
He must be, but now the deed was done.
Right?
He must be separated from her.
Right?
Society had been his joy.
Why didn't he leave God to do his judgment on Eve? Or even if God was going to kill Eve, right? And leave Adam holy and create another Eve. God was going to do that. He can do that, isn't it? But listen.
How could he endure this?
Now he is now terribly saying, I can't endure this. Because a woman has done that wrong thing, but the man is saying, I'd rather be together with die together with my woman because of love, isn't it? That's the love that God doesn't want. God wants you to stay like Lot. Lot did not go with the wife back. No. Lot continued to look forward. Right.
Adam had enjoyed the companionship of God and of holy angels.
Mm-hmm.
He understood the high destiny
He
of
understood.
the human race.
Yes.
They remained faithful to God.
Yeah?
Yet all these blessings were lost sight of in the fear of losing that one gift,
Right.
which in his eyes was of more value than every other.
Right. This is a man who was now idolating the wife, isn't it? The wife is an idol. Now, he can compromise because of this woman, isn't it? Right. Uh-huh.
Love, gratitude,
Right.
and loyalty to the Creator all were swept aside
Right.
by the love to Eve.
Because of the love of that bad person, he would take all these benefits from God away and even forsake God just to be with this sinner. Right? Uh-huh.
She was a part of himself,
Yeah.
and he would not endure the thought of separation.
Right?
If she must die, he would die with her.
Right. So he chose knowing that I'm now going to sin and die. So who sinned? Eve was deceived. Nothing like that went into Eve's head. If you were to ask Eve, Eve will say, oh, the snake told me the day I will eat, I will be intelligent. I want that intelligence. Yeah. And okay, God told me I will die, but the snake said no. What if God inspired the snake to tell me that I'm not going to die? You understand? She had reasons, isn't it? But Adam had no reason. Adam deliberately sinned. Yeah? This is a presumptuous sin. When you know you are sinning and you know even the results. That's what Adam did. Yeah? Now, so there is no reason of taking the woman lower than the man. They both sinned. So if you come and say because the woman sinned, that's why he's lower than the man. No, they both sinned. They both sinned. Now, I say we have to... Right. There is a portion I have left. Yeah.
No sign of death appeared in Eve, and he decided to brave the consequences. He seized the fruit and quickly ate.
Right. There was no persuasion from a snake. Adam wasn't persuaded. Adam just said, let me just get it done and over and done with. And quickly ate and was ready to die. So who sinned?
Adam.
Who sinned more?
Adam.
There was no snake coming to Adam to do all those marvelous quotations and whatever. No, there was nothing. But the snake came to Eve to persuade Eve to eat. To lure Eve to eat. To deceive Eve. So Eve was deceived. Yes, he sinned, but he was deceived. Adam was not deceived. Adam sinned knowing. So you can't place a woman lower than a man because of that, the sin. Right? Are we together there? And I said, mukadzi ndiye akatadza. No. It's not woman. They both sinned. And the other sinner was even worse off, a grave sinner. Who knows what he's doing? So there is no, if you have to put Eve lower, you put even Adam lowest. Because he knew. Yeah. Let's hear from Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 15, verse 22.
Verse 22.
Right?
For as the Adam all die,
Right?
even so in Christ shall all be made alive.
Who make us die?
Adam made
Why doesn't he say in Eve all die? Huh?
No record.
There's no record of that. Do you see that? Who has been recorded as a sinner in heaven? In Adam, all die. Yeah? Who caused people to die? It's not only the woman, both of them. But the worst off one in God is Adam. In Adam, all die. Huh? Now let's go to, have you finished that one? I said we are just in the Bible. today to see whether they were not equal at creation. We have seen at creation they were equal. Now, go also to verse 16 there. Romans 5, verse 16. Romans 5, verse 16.
Verse 16.
Uh-huh.
And not as it was by one that sinned, so is the gift.
How many sinned?
One.
And then of the one. Of the one. Who is that one?
Adam.
Now, the Bible records him sinning more because he sinned. Eve was deceived. He sinned. Eve did not deceive Adam. Eve told him what she had done. I've eaten the tree. I've found another one for you. And it was up to Adam to say no. But Adam sinned. Eve did not even mention any quotation, nothing. He just said, I did eat. There you go. And it was up to Adam to say no. But Adam sinned, caused the whole race to die. Huh? Is it biblical? And now verse 16 says, by one man. One has caused everyone to die. One. Huh?
Yes.
Read. 16 up to 19.
And not as it was by one that sinned, so is the gift. For the judgment was by one condemnation, but the free gift is of many. Offense is unto justification. For if by one man's offense death reigned by one, much more they which receive abundance of grace and of the gift of righteousness shall reign in life by one who is Jesus Christ.
Right. Now, if Christ came to die, what is Paul calling Christ there? The second Adam. Huh?
Yes.
The second Adam wasn't female.
No.
It wasn't female. The second Adam was a man. So who is the first Adam who sinned? It's a man. Did you get the point?
Yes.
And here, let's go to 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy 2, verse 14.
Verse 14. For Adam was first formed, then Eve.
Right?
Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived
Right.
was in the
So the woman didn't sin. Listen. Read again.
For Adam
Yeah.
was first formed,
Yes, it's true.
then Eve.
Then Eve.
And Adam was not deceived,
Adam wasn't deceived.
but the woman being deceived was in the transgression.
Adam sinned. We saw it in 1 Corinthians. The woman was deceived. Did you get that point?
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
Because if you say the woman was deceived, you have to complete it and say, but the man sinned. Corinthians said the man sinned.
Yeah.
Adam sinned.
Yes. True.
Huh? The woman was deceived.
Yeah.
Yeah? I said we are studying. Yeah? Is that helping?
Yes.
Is that helping you?
Yes.
Now, some argue that God directly decreed the woman to be submissive. Directly decreed the woman to be what? Submissive to males and to church authority as a result of the fall. That's what people say, isn't it? And they quote from Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. Let's read.
Verse 16. And unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring up forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
They take that one and say, the woman, the man shall rule over thee. Do you understand? Because of what? Now read again that verse.
Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
Yet, Genesis presents this not as a decree of what ought to be, but a curse. Huh? Is it a curse? Genesis there is pronouncing a curse. Huh? It's saying it is a description of what would happen. Huh? What would happen because of that deception, that Eve was deceived by the snake? Huh? It was what? You will be under the man. Yeah? You understand? Man now in a sinful, man is sinful. Do you understand? And fallen state, they're fallen. You understand? He has found it convenient to use his superiority. Huh? Superior strength to dominate the woman. The physically weak is the woman, isn't it? So the men have taken Genesis 3 verse 16 to find the strength to physically, because they are already hefty more than the woman. You understand? Right. But let me see. It's in their sinful state. Do you understand? If it's in her sinful state, you have to be under the man. And the man in his sinful state has to dominate the woman. If you want to dominate a woman, you are still in that sinful what? State. Huh? But when Christ came to die, he came to remove that curse. Huh? Yes. What did he come to do? To remove the curse. We want to study that. Now, he wants now to make men and women equal. Restoration back to their original creation state. But yes, when they sinned, when Adam sinned and the woman was deceived, the woman was put lower, I mean not lower, but was put to submit to the man. Why? Because of the sin, yeah? And the man takes it to be superior to the man, to the woman. Because of what? The sin. But what did this man do? He also what? Sinned. So both of them are sinful. Do you understand? And in their sinful state, these are their cases. And the man also was given the ground to till. And in their sinful state, the man has to till. He has to go to work. Do you understand? The man has to go to work to find food for the woman. The woman, in her sinful state, has to travel in birth and very painful birth, isn't it? That's why even the animals don't do that, because they were not given that case. But it's the women who were given that case. It was a case. It's not a level. It's a what? It's a case. It's not a level of superiority or inferiority, but it's a case. You understand? The woman is still bearing children, isn't it? The man is going to work, but if you find the women also going to work with the man, it means the case is lifted. Yes. Huh? Is it being lifted? Slowly but sure, it's being what? Because introduction of Christianity is taking the woman back to work together with the man. Because that's why Christ came to die, to lift the woman and the man. Let's see, is the blood going to lift the woman? Go to Revelation chapter 1. Is it lifting? Is the blood going to lift the woman? Revelation chapter 1, go to verse 5.
Verse 5.
Uh-huh.
And from Jesus Christ,
right?
the faithful witness,
yeah,
the first begotten of the dead,
right?
And the prince of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us, and has washed us from our sins in his own blood,
right?
And have made us kings and priests unto God and his Father.
Right?
To him be the glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
Right. Did you hear the verse? And from the woman, read it slowly. And from Jesus Christ.
And from Jesus Christ,
Right?
who is the faithful witness,
Right?
and the first begotten of the dead,
Right?
and the prince of the kings of the earth,
Yeah?
unto him that loved us,
Right?
as from our sin in his own blood.
He washed us from our sins with his own blood. Which sin has been washed? The one for the deception of the woman and the sinful man who sinned. That has been washed by the blood of Christ.
Amen.
He did not die for Adam only. He died for both Adam and Eve. And what?
And hath made us
Now, he has restored them back to make them what?
kings,
Kings and
unto
priests.
God and his
Unless the blood didn't go to the woman also, to wash the woman. But if it wash the woman, it made the woman king and priest.
Amen.
Did you hear that?
Amen.
Huh?
Amen.
So if the blood has come, why Christ had to come? It's because of that sin in the Garden of Eden.
Yes.
Yeah? So once that sin is rectified, what is the answer? Back to their creation state.
Yes. Amen.
It's the restoration back to what they were at creation before sin entered. That's where they should go back to. Huh? Wash them to send. The sin now has been rectified. What Adam did. That's why the second Adam, who is Christ, came to iron that problem. To send Adam back to his state. And Eve back to her state. Are we believing that's what happened at the cross? That's what the cross was for, isn't it? Now, let us read Galatians. So that's why we find Paul now in Galatians chapter 3, verse 28. What does Paul say?
There is neither Jew nor Greek.
Right?
There is neither bond.
Why is Paul saying that?
Because of the cross.
These walls of the Jew and Greek were being broken by the cross.
Yes.
Because salvation was only for one particular nation.
Yes.
But now it joins with other nations.
Amen.
You understand? And what?
There is neither Jew nor Greek.
Yeah?
There is neither bond nor free.
Right?
There is neither male nor female.
Do you see that?
We are all one. In Christ.
That's why now we don't even talk about slave trade or anything. There's no bond. What released them is the blood of Christ.
Amen.
There is neither Jew nor Greek. What released that is the blood of Christ. And there's neither man or woman. Is it that verse? What has taken off that case which was in Genesis 3 is the cross of Christ. Is dissolved that inequality.
Yes. Amen.
As I said, the Bible has to solve the problem.
Yes.
If the Bible solves the problem, yes. And some people seem to think that Paul is antagonizing himself because they don't understand him. If you do not understand Paul, Peter says so, that there are some people who don't understand Paul until they are into their damnation. Because their writing, the writing of Paul, is a mystery to them. They do not understand it. It's the same Paul who they quote to say Paul in Timothy is saying the woman, the man only, the man, you should understand why all those things were being said, isn't it?
Yes.
Because now we are going with the cross. At the creation, men were equal. When sin entered, there was a curse. To the woman, to be submissive, isn't it? And right now, what has happened to the cross? It has come to take all these divisions and put back the equality, back to its original. And now, let's hear, go to 1 Corinthians. Did you read that one? Go to Ephesians, right? Ephesians. Because these are the writings of Paul that I want to see. Because now he's saying there is no Jew, no one. So you should understand then what was wrong. What was wrong when this was uttered. Instead of generalizing and read superficial and say, oh, because he's uttered this in the church of Ephesus or in the church of what, then because of that, so this is what we all follow. No, we don't follow that. Right, read. Ephesians chapter 5.
Verse 21.
Yeah.
21. Giving thanks always for all things unto the God and our Father in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands.
You see, that's Paul.
As unto the Lord.
Here Paul said there's neither woman nor male. But now he says, wives, submit yourselves. Want to understand what it is? Let's read another writing from Paul. 1 Timothy chapter 2. So we should be carefully analyzing these verses. Yeah? Right? Where it says in verse 11.
Let the women lay in silence with all subjection.
That's another one.
But I suffer not a woman to teach,
Right?
not to usurp authority over the man,
Right?
but to be in silence.
Right.
For Adam was first formed, then Eve.
So Paul is speaking of what then? Says Adam was what?
First formed, then Eve.
Right?
And Adam was not deceived.
Right?
But the woman being deceived
Right?
did the transgression.
But Adam sinned. You see that? Adam sinned. The woman was deceived. Do you understand? Now, but here it says, wives, submit yourself to what? We want to understand why then. Paul is speaking of three different dominating, submissive categories. Right.
Verse 15.
Verse 15.
Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing.
Right. Now, there's something there. Let's say, Paul is speaking of three different categories there, right? All of which have been nullified by being baptized into Christianity. All those categories have been nullified by being baptized, right? The baptized Greek, clothed with all sufficiency of Christ, is as much a son of God. Is it?
Yes.
That wall from Greek and Jew.
Yes.
Once you are baptized in Christ, you are now equal with the Jews.
Yes.
Do you get that?
Yeah.
And the baptized Greek is as much a son as is the previously preferred Jew. Similarly, the emancipated slave. We had slaves long ago, isn't it? Once clothed in Christ, met all his qualifications for the church office. Is it true? Is it true?
Yeah.
Are we together there? Yeah? Contrary to the convictions of many church teachers of that era, any dissection of this passage that offers less to women than any other categories would suggest a prejudiced exegesis. Now, if the woman has to continue submissive, yet the Greek has been released, and the slave has been released once being baptized into Christ, so there is something in your exegesis. There is a category there. Because we are all in the same list. The Greek, the slave, the woman. Now we have released the slave and released the Greek. Once they were baptized into Christ, they were now equal in God. But now the woman, baptized into Christ, you will remain in bondage. There is some exegesis which is wrong there. It's another category. or there's some prejudice.
Yeah.
Because these three were under bondage. The slave, the Greek, the woman. In that very verse we had read again that verse in Galatians chapter 3 verse 28. These three were in bondage. Right.
There's a need, okay, verse 27. For as many of you as have been baptized into Christ.
So it's the baptism which is going to release all that.
For many of you as have been baptized into Christ.
Right.
And
It's
have
Paul
put on
again.
Christ.
It's the very Paul who said, women, submit yourselves. And now coming in Galatians is saying, so is it a confused Paul we are talking about here?
Subjective.
Then it means somewhere you didn't understand Paul. Right. Now it's talking of baptism in verse 27. The Greek baptized, the woman baptized, the slave baptized. Right, let's go.
And have put on Christ.
And then now I have Christ. Yeah.
There's neither Jew nor Greek.
Now, neither Jew nor Greek. That one is released in my queue. There were three people.
Yes.
The Greek, the what? The slave, the what? Three categories. Now, your slave is done. It's baptized. The Greek is what? Baptized. The woman is what?
Baptized.
Then when you come, you say, woman, though you are baptized, you still should submit. Greek, you are baptized, now son of God. Slave, baptized, you are now a church officer. Woman, baptized, stay there. There is a prejudice in that exegesis. You understand where I'm coming from? You understand where I'm coming from? Read on.
For as many of you
Right.
as have been baptized into Christ
Right?
and have put on Christ,
Eh.
there's neither Jew nor Greek.
Yeah.
There's neither bond nor free.
Eh.
And there's neither male nor female.
Right?
We are all one in Christ Jesus.
Now, the chapter also goes on to say, I think in verse 5, it is to redeem those under the law. Did he say that? There are people who are under the law should be redeemed. Is it? Greek? Female? And who? Slaves. All might receive the full rights of sons of God.
Amen.
Really? Did you hear that? So, if you do not release the woman in that bondage, then you should also tie the slave. Then you should also tie the Greek. But if others have been released, then release the woman. I mean, I say we are studying today. No women ordination. I say, yes, there was a deception in the snake deceived Eve, and Eve was deceived. And the pronunciation was, the case was, you should submit and you should bear your children with pain and everything, isn't it? But that was a case. And the case was also to Adam to say you should till the land and make sure the food is there at home. But we both now are going to work. Why? Because I was released.
Yes.
I was released. Read on.
Verse 18.
Yeah.
Christ hath redeemed us
Christ,
from the curse of the law,
this law,
being made a curse for us.
this was made a case for us. And Christ now released us. But you are going ahead and saying, no women ordination, making sure we are cursed. That's why we had to study. We have to study using the very Bible. We have to study. Where were you reading there?
Chapter 3, verse 18.
Right. Galatians 3, verse 13. Christ came to redeem the slave, dying on the cross. Redeem the Greek. Anyone who was not a Jew was not allowed, isn't it? And now we are now allowed to follow God, isn't it? And redeem the women.
Yes.
Amen.
Yeah? 1 Corinthians 11, verse 3 to 12. Three. 11, verse 3.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man,
Right?
and the head.
That's another one. That makes people like this. The head of a woman is what?
The man.
Right. Uh-huh.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head.
Right?
But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered, dishonoreth her head.
Right?
For that is even all one as if she were shaven.
Right?
For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if the shame of the woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and the glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man.
Right?
For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man.
Right?
Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man. The Lord.
In the Lord. Did you hear there's in the Lord? That verse, what verse?
11.
Right. Read on. Up to 12.
Nevertheless, is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man, in the Lord. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman.
Right?
But all things of God.
Did you hear the term, the woman who prayeth and prophesieth? Did you hear that?
Yes.
What is to pray?
Is to pray.
Is to talk.
Yes.
There is a verse where Paul said the women should keep silent. But the woman has been allowed to pray by Paul. And what again? To prophesy. What is to prophesy? To preach. Was supposed to have a head covering for preaching and for praying. Yeah? What is a head covering? It says when the head is not covered, you are shorn. You are like you are shorn, shaving. What covers the head? The hair. So people had gone, no, put on a head, put on a head, put on a head. They say that's why the head of a woman is different from the head of a man. What did God put in the head of a man, of a woman? Hair, long hair. Why? It's the glory of the woman, of the man. So the woman has a covering of the hair. You understand? Yes. And should not be shorn. That's what the verse said. Shouldn't shave it. No. Should let the covering cover it. Yeah? And even some have gone, I don't even condemn them, they have gone to take the covering to cover. It's fine. Go and do that. As long as you are covering. But my context here is the woman has been allowed to pray and to prophesy.
Amen.
Do you see the silence which was there in the church of Ephesus is not there in this church?
No.
So you should understand why he was saying silence to those women in that church. Yeah? It's like somebody coming here and there is noise, there's a lot of debate, talking and whatever, and then the noise is coming from women. Thoroughly, women screaming and shouting and what, so that there's no order, isn't it? And somebody will say, okay, Paul will say, The people who are making noise are women there. Can those women really, let the women keep quiet, please? Somebody was writing what Paul said, isn't it? And somebody wrote, let the women what? Keep quiet in that church, isn't it? Would you make that as a law for all the churches? You should understand why he was telling them to keep quiet in that church. We will know what was happening, isn't it? Now, do you know that covering was there? Why was there? It was a cultural norm. In that area, it was a cultural norm that's how women, it's a cultural norm, isn't it? That's why he's referring them to go and cover and maintain the cultural norm. That's why in culture, you find some cultures are covering, some cultures are not. But it's not a requirement for all the cultures. It was that cultural norm in that area. Let's go to Ephesians 5. 5 verse 22.
Wives.
Wives. That's another one, isn't it?
Submit yourselves unto your own husbands,
Right?
as unto the Lord.
Right?
For the husband is the head of the wife,
Uh-huh.
even as Christ is the head of the church,
Yeah.
and is the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives to be their own husbands in everything.
It's the same submit which is used in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, chapter 14, verse 34. Read it.
1 Corinthians
It's the same submit. It's also used there.
1 verse
1 chapter 14, verse 34.
verse 34. Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law.
Right. There is a law. Under obedience, as also said the law. Which law? Which law? The submit which started on Eve. Do you understand? Yes. Read again the same one, Colossians 3, verse 18.
3. Verse 18. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as it is fit in the Lord.
Right?
Husbands, love your wives.
Did you hear the bracket? As it is fit in the Lord. Huh?
Yes.
Do you see the bracket in?
The Lord.
Did you hear?
Yeah.
Fit in?
In the Lord.
Right. Let's hear 1 Timothy 2, verse 11.
First Timothy. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection.
Right?
But I suffer not a woman to teach, not to usurp authority over the man,
Right?
but to be in silence.
Right. So my main reason here is it was still under the law. Huh? It was still under the law. Paul is talking about fit in Christ. Under the what? The law. But let's see when the day of Pentecost arrived. Acts chapter 2. Verse 17. You remember the Holy Spirit came? Huh? On the day of Pentecost. To prove a point that even the cross released the women to be used by God, isn't it?
Yes.
Now let's go to chapter 2, verse 17.
Verse 17.
Mm.
And it shall come to pass in the last days,
Did you hear?
saith God,
Mm-hmm.
I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh,
Right?
and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy.
Now, the Spirit on the day of Pentecost went to all flesh. Huh?
Yes.
All flesh received, because God had made a promise. I'll pour out my spirit to what? All flesh. Uh-huh.
And your sons and your daughters,
Who will prophesy?
the sons and daughters,
Now, Paul was talking at different churches and saying, because you now understand, he was meeting different cultural norms. And when they were talking, especially when he says silence, go and ask your husband at home, it's not like anybody everywhere. It was from that particular church where there was no order. He is actually talking of order in the church, in that particular church, isn't it? He's not talking about everybody. Now when you meet the verses like this to say, the Spirit will be poured into all flesh. Now when you want to shut the woman up, but the Spirit has gone to that woman. And your sons and daughters shall prophesy. Do you hear that? Do you see that region where Paul had gone was a particular region? It's not a general law for everyone. Huh? Because the Spirit had been promised to be poured to all flesh, even to women. Your sons and daughters shall what? Prophesy. To prove that region where Paul had told the women to keep quiet had nothing to do with the general conscience of everyone. There were particular things that have happened there. He was only maintaining law and order. The head covering was just because that area, that's what was being practiced culturally. You understand? And up to verse 18.
And it shall come to pass in the last days, saith God, I will pour out my Spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your younger men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams.
Right.
And on my servants and on my handmaidens, I will pour out in those days of my Spirit.
Did you hear the term last days? Which are the last days? Where God has promised the Spirit to be in sons and daughters, the last days. And then you make a law that the women should be quiet. Yet the law says, in the... Let's see it again in Joel chapter 2, verse 28 to 29.
Verse 28. And it shall come to pass afterward, that I will pour out my Spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old man shall dream dreams, your young man shall see visions.
Right. Now, I want you to see even the days of Paul. The women were there. Someone will say, oh, show me where a passage where a woman was told to lead or whatever. Okay, I will show you. Isn't it? I'll show you. Read from Romans chapter 16. Romans 16. Start from verse 1. Just read the general chapter.
I'll commend unto you Phoebe, our sister.
Listen, it says Phoebe. We, in our language, say Phoebe. Phoebe. Some say Phoebe or Phoebe. Right. Okay, Phoebe. Can I call her Phoebe? Because that's what Phoebe. Right. Look at, Phoebe is not a male name. It's not a male name.
No.
Right. Read again.
I commend unto you Phoebe, our sister.
Right.
Which is a servant of the church, which is at Cenchrea.
Right.
That ye receive her in the Lord.
Right.
As becometh saints. And that ye assist her in whatsoever business she hath need of you.
Was she being commanded to go and lead in that church? Yeah. Phoebe. Listen, read.
That ye receive her in the Lord, as becometh saints, and that ye assist her in whatsoever business she hath need of you.
Right?
For she had been a succor of many,
right?
And of myself also.
Was she a leader?
She was. Priscilla.
And listen to another woman, Aquila.
My helpers in Christ Jesus.
These were helping Paul. These were working for God. And who?
Priscilla and Aquila. My helpers in Christ Jesus.
Right.
Who were for my life laid down their own necks.
Right.
Unto whom not only I give thanks, but also unto the churches of the Gentiles.
Right.
Likewise, greet the church that is in their house.
Right.
Salute my own beloved.
Greet the church that is in their house. Yes. So these ones were working And Paul was the supervisor for them, isn't it? And they have a church, and he is telling the church to support them. Right? And what?
Who have, for my life,
Look at these women. Look, these women, yeah?
Unto whom not only I give thanks, but also
Right.
unto the churches of the Gentiles.
Right?
Likewise, greet the church that is in their house.
In their house.
Salute my well-beloved
Right.
Epinetus, who is the first fruit of Achaia unto Christ.
Look at that.
Greet Mary.
Mary is there
who bestowed
also.
much labor on us.
You see these women?
Salute Andronicus and Junia,
Rosa.
my kinsmen,
Yeah.
and my fellow prisoners,
Yeah.
who are not among the
Do
apostles.
you see these women? Let's go.
Greet Amphilius,
Amphilia.
in the Lord. Salute Abane, our helper in Christ Jesus. and
Right.
Sachis,
Right.
beloved. Salute Apelles, approved in Christ. Salute them which are Aristobulus also.
Look at them. They're a whole list.
Salute Herodion, my kinsman.
Yeah.
Greet them that be in the house of Narcissus, which are in the Lord. Salute Tryphena
Tryphena.
and Tryphosa.
Triposa. Greet those women. You tell me they are not women in the Bible who are working for God. Listen.
Salute the beloved Persis.
If he was to tell these women to shut up, like what he did to those who were making noise in that other church, would there be a gospel at all?
No.
Now, greet who?
Salute Rufus, chosen in the Lord, and his mother and mine.
Right.
Salute,
This is a man.
salute and Asyncritus,
Right?
Phlegon,
Right?
Hermes,
You see?
Patrobas, Hermes, and the brethren which are with them.
Right?
Salute Philogas,
Right.
Julia,
Yeah?
Nereus,
Julia is a female.
and his sister, and Olympus, and all the saints that are with them.
Right.
Salute one another with the Holy Ghost.
Right.
Christ salute you.
Salute you.
Amen.
Now, you're telling me that there are no women in the Bible who are working for God. We should only go and ask their husbands at home. Really? Don't take a law which happened in a particular church where Paul was putting law and order and take that law to be a general law for everyone who works for God. Now, let's go to see other women. So you can say, oh, that was in Romans chapter 16, but that's the very Paul greeting these women. So you can see, if he had a law to say women shouldn't say anything, to be honest, why is this the whole chapter greeting these women who are working? All these women are working, isn't it? Now let's see another chapter with women in the Old Testament. That is in the New Testament, but let's go to the Old Testament. Let's go to Deborah. Yeah, you know Deborah? Judges 4, verse 4 to 5.
And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged.
What was Deborah?
She was a prophetess.
Now I was saying Phoebe was an apostle. If you go to the lineage, to the line, to the hierarchy of the spiritual gifts, those are the two most important. They come topmost. The apostle is the first one.
Yes.
And second one is the prophet. And next, and even the gift of the pastors comes least. Do you understand? If you want, let's go to that hierarchy and see the hierarchy. Now, if you are worried about those which are at the bottom, what about those at the top? I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 28. Verse 28.
And God had set some in the church. First apostles.
One. Do you see the apostles, the first one? Second.
Secondarily, prophets.
Those are the bosses in the spiritual gift. Those are the bosses.
Thirdly, teachers.
Teachers.
After that, miracles.
Miracles.
And gifts of healing.
Gifts of healing. Helps.
Governments.
Government, that's the
and
pastor.
messages of tongues.
Now, would you be worried about being a pastor when there is at the top? I see pastors here, isn't it? Which one is the top gift in that list? It's the apostle. So why would you be worried about being pastor? Huh? It's the least one, isn't it? Go to crave the topmost gifts. The topmost is the apostle. We want to see from 3SG whether these are in hierarchy or it's just a list. It's not just a list. These are the topmost. They come in their order of importance.
Yes.
3SG, 15. 15 point.
2, I think. God set them in the church.
Yeah?
And where's the text that
Right.
declares that they've been set out of the church?
They should be in the church. So if you are worried about women ordination or something, you should say, why are you worried about women being pastors? Because these are all 8 spiritual gifts. So crave for the most ones, not the least ones. Because all are ordained. These are a list. They are all ordained. So you better crave for the topmost.
Amen.
The apostles are the topmost. Let's hear.
God set them in the church.
Right?
And where's the text that declares that they've been set out of the church?
Right?
Here are 8 gifts mentioned and given in their order of importance.
They are given in their order of importance to what?
That's first,
First,
secondarily,
second,
thirdly,
third,
and so on.
and so on.
Refer to importance.
They refer to their importance and not to the time.
Evident from the fact that Paul in his connection goes.
That's why when Christ came on earth, he was not working with pastors. He was working with apostles. That's the topmost. He had 12 apostles. These are the top gifts that he was working about with them. First, apostles. Second, go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 28. First, apostles. Second, prophets. And now when you talk about ordination, then you talk about women shouldn't be pastors. You know, you can stay with the bottom, but we want the top.
And God had set some in the church. First apostles, secondarily prophets, thirdly teachers, after that miracles, and then gifts of healings. Helps governments, diversities of tongues.
So why are you wrestling with the lower gifts? They are gifts, they are topmost gifts. That's why when Christ came, he was moving about with the topmost gift, the apostles. Now Phoebe, we have been told Phoebe is what? An apostle. Isn't it? And then here we are seeing Deborah. What is Deborah? The topmost. Listen, Deborah was a prophet. So he's a prophet. Right. And she was judging. Yeah? She wouldn't have said, okay, take away my gift. I want to be to be ordained as a pastor. No. She was a prophet. A prophetess. Isn't it? Now, 4 verse 4, Judges.
And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at that time. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel, Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment.
Now, she had a man's position. That's one thing.
Yeah.
She had a man's position, was judging Israel. That was a man's position. Not only a prophet, he was a king. Yeah. And on top of being a king, she was a prophetess. So she had 2 posts, isn't it? Amen. Let's read again 2 Kings. 2 Kings 22, verse 14. 2 Kings 22. We want to see these women because we need evidence. Is there women in the Bible working for God? 2:22, verse 14 and 16.
Verse 14. So Hilkiah the priest, 2 Kings 22.
Yeah.
So Hilkiah the priest, and Ahikam, and Akbar, and Shaphan, and Asaph went unto Huldah the prophetess.
Who was the prophetess? It's Hilda. Now we say Hilda, isn't it? It's a woman, isn't it?
The wife of Shalom, the son of Tikva, the son of Ahaz, keeper of the wardrobe. Now she dwelt in Jerusalem, as in the college, and they communed with her. And she said unto them, thus says the Lord God of Israel,
Right.
tell the men that sent you to me.
Right?
Thus
You say, let no man give authority over men, no woman authority over men. Listen to this prophetess.
Tell the men that sent you to me, thus says the Lord God, Behold, I will bring evil upon this place, and upon the inhabitants thereof, even from the words of the book which the kings of Judah have read.
Right?
Because they have forsaken me, and have burned incense unto other gods.
Right. So she is ruling and controlling them. Do you understand? She's controlling. She's a ruler. What would you say? She's a ruler, isn't it? That's why even the world is even choosing females to rule, yeah, to lead in countries, isn't it? Because this is all is a previous era. I don't know. It was in, I don't know what era it was, because at creation, men and women were equal. Now let's see in the New Testament, Luke 2, verse 36. We saw them there with the Phoebe. But let's hear 2, there's another one there. Luke 2, verse 36 and 37.
And there was one Anna the prophetess.
Another one, a prophetess, a woman. Anna.
The daughter of Phanuel,
Right?
of the tribe of Asa. She was of a great age, and had lived with her husband 7 years from her virginity. And she was a widow of about 84 years, which departed not from the temple, but served God with fastings and prayers night and day.
Yes, we have got these powerful women who are leading, who are prophetess, who are everything that a man can do, they could do, isn't it? Now go to Acts chapter 21, verse 8 and 9.
Verse 8. And the next day, we were at Paul's company. And the next day, we that were of Paul's company departed, and came unto Caesarea, and we entered into the house of Philip the evangelist, which was one of the 7, and abode with him. And the same man had 4 daughters, virgins, which did prophesy.
How many?
4.
4 daughters who were prophets.
Virgins.
And virgins and prophets. Do you understand? So it is clear Paul was not even referring to women generally to be quiet. There was something that was happening in that particular church where he ordered women to keep quiet for order, and also ordered women to put their headscarves, because that's what was accepted in that culture, isn't it? But it was not for everyone. Don't take where Paul is talking with particular churches and then you make a law for everyone. You confuse the whole, Bible. You understand? And let us see another scenario. So we have seen that at the day of Pentecost, they were all equal, isn't it? The Holy Spirit didn't choose whether men only. We went to both men and women, right? Let's see in society, are they equal in society? Yeah, I want to see if they are equal in society. Yeah? I've seen, especially here, buses are not only driven by males. Yes. They are driven by male and females. You find a female, the big bus is busy like this. Yes, isn't it? Yeah. So it's to show that there is equality. Yeah, buses, lorries, everywhere. You can see a mechanic, a female. You can see anything. If you become a sexist, it's illegal. So the world can't be ahead of Christianity. The Christianity is backward. It's still saying women, no, out, no, you're breaking the law, no. God will use women, prophetesses, everything. It doesn't matter which spiritual gift, whether a pastor is a spiritual gift, whether a prophet, there are major ones. Yeah?
Amen.
What to Peter? Peter chapter 2, 1 Peter. Verse 13 and 14.
Verse 13. Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether it be to the king as supreme, or unto governors, as unto them that are set by him for the punishment of evildoers, and for the praise of them that do well.
Peter makes an interesting point there, isn't it? About the position of women. He argues that we as Christians, did you hear that?
Yes.
Should submit ourselves to every man-made, did you? Man-made institution. Huh? We should submit ourselves to every man-made institution, and goes into listing several of those authorities. Which are the authorities? Governors,
Kings.
masters, kings. He's not talking about inequality in women. He is talking about Christians submitting themselves into these authorities, which are man-made. Did you hear? Now read it again. Submit.
Submit yourselves to every ordinance of men for the
Of
Lord's sake.
every ordinance of men, or every man-made institutions, we should submit ourselves. 1, to government. 2, governors. Every man-made institution we should
Submit.
as Christians.
Amen.
That's what Peter is talking about. He's not talking about male and female. No, because institutions have got females also in those institutions, isn't it? So you should understand the verse, why Paul is listing women working, and then he's saying now, submit yourself into man-made, into authorities, isn't it? These are man-made authorities, made by men, governments, institutions. Christians should submit themselves. You understand? Then in 1 Peter 3, verse 2, verse 1.
Verse 1. Likewise, you wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives.
Right. Now read it carefully so that we analyze it.
Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands,
Right?
that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives.
Right. What does it mean? You know, Peter is talking in a very intelligent language.
Yeah.
You understand? He states that in the same way, wives, did you see that? Should submit to their husbands because, why? Because, you understand? It is implied female submission is instituted among men. Huh? Is instituted among men, female submission. Yeah? In other words, what is it? Christians are expected, did you hear that? Yes. To operate within the parameters placed around them by society.
Amen.
Yeah? Christians are expected to operate within the parameters instituted around them by society. Don't take the verse and read it the wrong way, and then you start saying the wife, look to me, I'm greater than you. Yeah, no. Christians as a role. Yeah? Right. The parameters. If slavery is an unchangeable part of the society, then servants are expected to obey their masters. But did that change? Did that change? Yes. Did slavery change?
Yes.
Then we all change. Yes. Then we all change. Right? As we earnestly seek to a true biblical role, yeah, for a woman, God forbid that we withhold any gift He desires her to exercise for even one day longer than society requires. So you should say, does society allow women to work in men's jobs? So we should also dance along with what society does. That's what it means.
Amen.
Society around us allows.
Yes.
So we are actually being awkward if we restrict the women, because the society allows them. Yeah? If you see them driving buses, so they are also allowed to lead. Yeah? We should operate in the parameters around us in the ministry. Now, we have seen in the society, we should dance along with the society. Yes. So what about in the ministry? In the ministry, Yeah? Now let's go to Romans 16. Paul is not chauvinistic. You may think he's chauvinistic. He's not. It's because people don't understand him. He's not a chauvinistic man saying this ministry should be limited to men and not to women. You can see he was greeting all the women there. Especially when we read, particularly on Romans chapter 16, verse 7. Go back to 16.
Salute Andronicus and Junior, my kinsmen and my fellow prisoners, who are not among the apostles, who also were in Christ before me.
Right. So, who was an apostle? It's a woman.
Andronicus and Junior.
Andronicus and Junior. They were an apostle. He's saluting them, isn't it? So, Paul is not chauvinistic, isn't it? So, it's because somehow you did not understand him. Huh? Now, here we will see that of the whole chapter of Revelation, of Romans 16, 29 people have been greeted, and they are not all men. And probably the bulk of them are women. Those 29 people that he is greeting, he is saluting. Phoebe, Tryphena, Tryphosa, Julia, you saw those, Mary. So you see, and he's even tasking the church. Huh? Huh? He's tasking even the church to respect them. He said that, support him, support them. He's tasking them, isn't it? Now let's go to 1 Corinthians 14, verse 34 to 36. 1 Corinthians 14, verse 34. So if you have a problem understanding Paul's writings, the easiest thing to do is to, before you make things wrong. Okay. 14, verse 34 to 36.
Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also said the Lord.
But you see what he's doing there? Let your women what? Be silent. In churches. Do you see that? But he has already, in 1 Corinthians 11, verse 5, what did he say?
11, verse 5. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered, so honoreth her hair, for that is even or one as if she were shaven.
So they have to be having a covering, isn't it? So, is he allowing them to pray and prophesy when they are covered?
Yes.
Now here he's telling these ones, let them keep quiet. Is he contradicting himself? Huh? Do you see he's not contradicting himself? He directs his remark to a specific situation.
Yes.
So the remarks that he said, keep quiet, were to a specific what?
Situation.
It's not for everyone.
No.
What you say in that church is not what you say there. You understand? For there are problems there, you address them accordingly. But you don't take that address to the other church. They don't need that. Yeah? Right. These are specific situations he is dealing with. Right? In chapter 14, if you go to chapter 14, you find that he admonishes the women to be quiet. We saw it in verse 33. What did he say? Read 14, verse 33.
Verse 33. For God is not the author of confusion.
You see the reason why he told them to be quiet? For God is not a God of disorder, but of peace. So what was there in that church when he told them to be quiet? There was disorder. Huh? So you take what he saw in that situation, there was no order. And then you say, even where there is order, you should make them quiet. Huh? Right. Go to 14, verse 40. So he was only worried about order and a decent manner. And you know, the chapter 14 is where they were speaking in tongues. Where he made a law that they should speak only 1 or 2 or 3. And that they should have course. When one speaks, one should be quiet. So what is he talking about in that? Order. That's the whole chapter 14 is about law, order. People, and that's why he says, if they all speak at the same time, anyone who is learned, who walks in, wouldn't they say that? If you want to see the noise that he's talking about, go to 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and find, I think it's verse 23 somewhere there, where he says, if the whole church speaks, verse 23.
If therefore the whole church,
do you see what he's talking about?
into one place,
right?
And all speak with tongues,
right?
And they come that are unlearned and
so
unbelievers.
Come some people who are not even of your faith,
Would
yeah?
you not say you're mad?
Well, then say, people were now speaking all together in the same, and then Paul is saying, would they all say you are praying, you are talking. Would they say you are not mad? But it's a situation that has arisen in that church, isn't it? Yeah. Then you make it a law for everyone. Come on, man. You make it a law for everyone, where he has told them to shut up there. And you say everywhere they should be quiet. And he told them there, put your head scarf to identify yourself with, because the whole culture in that area, they were putting that, and then he's saying, when you go, put your head scarf. And then you say, you make a law for everyone. Then I will ask you, if you make a law for everyone to cover, what was covering Eva? Huh? You know, Eva, they were not even dressed. Huh? They were actually naked. The verse says so. So do you see your law where it stands, where it ends? Where does it start and where does it end? So don't take situationals, admonition, situation where there was havoc, and then you say, we will make it a law universal. You find a lot of people arguing with you because it's showing you have gone wrong. You have taken a wrong road. Don't take where a situation arose in Paul's day and make it a law for everyone. Now, let's go to chapter 11, verse. Is there 11? Is it 50 on chapter 11? There's one with 50. Or that chapter 14, does it have a 50? Oh, so why did I think there was a 50? Right. So, the very thing is that when they were speaking all at the same time, it's because at that point, even the women still knew they were allowed to speak. That's why they were speaking. Yeah. They knew they were still allowed to be speaking. That's why he made them to keep quiet, because he wanted to maintain order. So because if they knew they were not supposed to speak, they wouldn't be speaking. Huh? That's one good, so let's not take where Paul was, requesting particular. Let's go to 1 Timothy 2, verse 11 and 12. I think people are now yawning. If there was time, I was going to cover whether it's deacon. I've heard people addressing deacons and saying the females are called deaconesses. In Hebrew, that word is diaconate. Diaconate is a female word. So it says deacons and deaconesses. No, the deacon is a female. It's a word coming from diaconate. If you have time, you Google what is a diaconate. So people are just saying deacon. It comes from diaconate. It was a female word, name for a deacon. So there's no nesses. Deacon, deaconesses. No, it comes from deacon. Deacon is a female. So actually, it's a neutral term. It's like when you say teachers, it's neutral, isn't it? When you say teachers, you mean both male and female. So you wouldn't say teachernesses or teacher. So that's what we say when you say deaconess. Deaconess. We are trying to put a demarcation between male and what? And female. So it's just an exaggeration of that term. But let's go, for us to conclude, let us read from Sister White, 3SM, and that is defined it. 3SG 24, first paragraph. 3SG, spiritual gifts. 24.1.
We object.
Listen to what Sister White says.
We object to that narrow-souled theology, which will not allow the old ladies to have dreams, because the prophecy says, your old man shall dream dreams. And that will not allow young women to have visions, because the prophecy says, your young man shall see visions. These stingy critics.
That's being stingy.
Seem to forget.
That's what Sister White said. She's also talking together with us and saying, they take where it says men. Read on, you find it.
These stingy critics seem to forget that man, M-A-N, and man, M-E-N,
right,
in the scriptures generally mean both men and women.
Right. When Timothy says, if you want to be a bishop, it should be a man of one wife, isn't it? That M-A-N means both male and female.
Amen.
That's what Sister White says. M-A-N and M-E-N means both male and female. You wanted the Bible to interpret. If you want to be a deacon, if you want to be a bishop, it should be a man of one wife. So you would say, okay, the Bible should conclude and also say a female of one husband. You want the Bible to be concluding all those things. This is just general. This is logic, isn't it? It's logic that if it says a man of one wife, he's not limiting that post to men. Sister White says M-A-N means both male and female.
These stingy critics forget that man, M-A-N, and man, M-E-N in the scriptures generally mean both men and women. The book says that it is appointed unto man, M-E-N, once to die.
Right?
Don't women die?
Don't women die? It says so. The Bible says it is appointed up to men to die. Don't women die?
They do.
Yeah? So you want the Bible to finish and it is also appointed up to females to die? That's being very daft, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unto you, O men, I call. Man is M-A-N. I call. And my voice is to the sons of men, M-E-N.
Right?
Don't the Lord call women?
Don't the Lord call women? Is Sister White saying that?
But the prophecy does say, your sons and your daughters shall prophesy.
Right. Because Christ walked with 12 men as apostles. Is that a reason to say no men, no more women?
No.
That's being stingy. A critic which is stingy. Yeah? So Sister White says we object to that. It's a narrow, broad in your mind. You need a broad mind. Because we were brought up in notions, in different notions. You understand? A notion that a woman should be kept pregnant and barefooted in the kitchen. But Christianity will teach us that it's not so. It's not like that. So you see, they are not kept pregnant barefooted in the kitchen. They can be used by God. So because of time, I'll cut my lesson short. Let us pray.